"That's odd," she said, her brow furrowed. "I saw the same guy talking to Dr. Roberts outside the band room as I was going to seminary. He did look somewhat familiar." Delilah was intrigued. Who was this person, and why were they hanging around at the school? Did they have a visitor's badge? Did the faculty know they were there? Could it be someone willing to shoot up the school? Her thoughts were interrupted by Stephanie's voice. "Hey guys, I was just thinking of watching a movie at my house, and now you guys wanted to come?" There was murmurs of "yes" and "cool" and "okay." Delilah liked the idea, but she still had lots of homework. "I can get it done when I get home, work on it some, then go to the movie. I'm sure Mom and Dad will be fine with that." The bell rang. Everyone gathered their things while Stephanie told them when to meet at her house. Delilah felt a little better, knowing she was going to a friend's house later. Delilah arrived at the home around 4:30, feeling exhausted, but reasonably happy about the workout. She also hadn't seen the mysterious stranger during the last period of the day, although Alexa said she saw him meandering past her math class, glancing inside while passing. This school has, like, the worst security ever. There's a strange man walking the halls, looking inside classrooms, and no one's like, "Sir, can we help you?" She also said that he looked strangely familiar. Everyone had suddenly started seeing this person all over the school, and yet the faculty had done nothing to move in on this person. The next time she saw him, she was going to find out who he was, even if she was late for her class. She started on her homework, checking her watch occasionally, waiting for 6:30 to head up to Stephanie's place. Finally, her clock said 6:10. Not quite 6:30, but she left her room and headed downstairs anyways. Her mom was waiting at the bottom. "Be careful, dear. The roads are slick with ice," she said, looking concerned. "Mom, I'll be fine. The Explorer's four-wheel drive, remember?" Delilah replied, giving her mother a swift hug and turning to leave. "All right, well, have a good time and drive safely." Her mother intoned, her voice full of anxiety. Delilah headed out to the Explorer, unlocked the door, and kicked the engine into life. While the engine and the air got warm, she turned on the radio and listened for a song. Then she put the car in reverse, backed out, shifted to 4WD, which is four-wheel drive for you not in the know, and drove down the street. Mom was right, Delilah thought, turning off her street and heading up the hill, feeling the wheel slide, despite 4WD's advantage. She had some experience driving in the snow, but this was a totally different case. She made it to the next intersection and turned right. She was now on the road just below Stephanie Street. This is going to be easier. 2 minutes later, she was crossing a small gorge nearby, 3 minutes from Stephanie's front door. Suddenly, a dark shape zoomed in front of the windshield. Instinctively, Delilah yanked the steering wheel left hard, instead of turning right, which you should do. The car spun like a kamikaze top. Wow, that's actually a pretty good describer. Delilah hanging on for dear life. It's a good describer because she might actually die. She slammed on the brakes, which only seemed to make the car spin faster. In the brief instances she saw at the windshield, she saw the metal bars that prevented people from falling off the edge of the road into the gully coming closer. She braced herself just in time. The car smashed into the bar with a sound like an explosion. Oh, the humanity! That guy's on fire! Oh, it's everywhere! Delilah's body slammed against the steering wheel. With such force, she cried out in pain as she felt something give an uncharacteristically loud crack. Delilah attempted to scream as the pain intensified, but found that her tongue was swollen and that Eric couldn't possibly scream at any higher pitch than she normally talks. The result of her biting on the initial impact. Okay. She felt the car wobble unsteadily, then tip forward. Delilah watched as the world turned upside down and the T-Rex came barreling towards... Oh, different story. She felt the car rolling, crashing through the undergrowth. Delilah felt like she was in a rock tumbler, being thrown this way and that. With one final ear-splitting crash, the car stopped abruptly. Delilah's head flew forward and smashed onto the dashboard. Her breath became raggedy. And it seemed she might have broken ribs. The seatbelt was strapped tightly against her chest, adding to the difficulty of her breathing. Delilah did a quick check on everything else. Everything hurt. She struggled to move her fingers on her right hand. They didn't move. Oh, she lost her right hand. Cool. Her head felt like it was going to crack open like an egg, spilling her brains all over the dashboard. That's what happens when you do drugs. She felt a sudden loss of feeling in her body. Everything felt like it had gone to sleep, yet she was barely conscious. She felt something wet in her mouth, sloshing around, like her tongue. She let her mouth slid open slowly. Dark red blood fell to the floorboards. Despite the continuous loss of being, Delilah heard someone nearby. She wanted to call out to them, yell for help, but her mouth wouldn't respond to her mind, despite the fact that she just opened it up a few seconds ago. She heard the door creak next to her. She looked outside the cracked glass. A dark figure stood 10 yards away, staring at her. Delilah couldn't see who it was, her eyes glazing over as she slid in and out of consciousness. The figure raised a hand toward the car. The hand began to glow. A deep green light shattered across the darkness, casting long shadows everywhere. The door creaked, shifted, and then, with a gut-wrenching crunch, was stripped from the frame. It flew to the side with a muffled bang. With that, Delilah's eyelids could no longer stay up. They were like pianos, and she just did not have the strength. She slumped forward, feeling warm arms catch her, her head supported against someone's chest. She breathed in a shallow breath, foggily registering a familiar scent. Kind of like vanilla, or tunella. Hearing a soft voice in her ear, calling her name, Delilah felt unconsciousness come over her, and finally submitted to it. End of chapter 2.